Hey everybody, hope you're doing well today. I am here with my friend Matt DeHogue. Dude, how are you doing?
Good, how are you?
This is, I'm good. So here's what I gotta tell you. Matt is actually my counselor. So we've been meeting together every couple weeks or more often, depending on what's going on, And so I'm incredibly grateful for Matt in my life. And I wanted to start out actually by kind of saying, I see a counselor, and I think it's a really good thing. One of my goals right now at this stage in my life is to really grow in emotional health. And so I know sometimes there can be kind of a stigma about counseling. I have not experienced that. I found it to be very helpful. In fact, if I had a time machine, I'd go back into like my 20s and do this earlier because I've found it to be so helpful. So that's why we've been hanging out. Yeah. And I wanted everybody to get to know you.
Yeah, so, good to be here. Thanks for inviting me. Yeah.
For sure. So here we are in our church. We're doing a series on emotions right now. And, hey, you're a counselor. You meet with people and talk about emotions fairly regularly. And we just did a sermon on sadness.
Yeah.
So as you know, Matt, because we've talked, like something I kind of struggle with is actually allowing myself to feel my emotions. I like to just keep moving and just really not deal with it. And I'm sure people watching can relate to that.
Yeah.
And so from your perspective, like what's the danger there when it comes to sadness?
Yeah. I think sadness can be misunderstood. Okay. Sometimes people feel an emotion like sadness and think, I shouldn't be feeling this. So they kind of live on the surface and say, well, I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to distract myself. Yep. The reality is when we do that and we don't allow ourselves to feel and allow like sadness to process through us, then it can come out in weird ways. Yep. And we can snap at somebody or we can start crying at maybe a family gathering and you're like,
wrong time.
Yeah, you're like, what is going on with me?
Yep.
And so processing it, feeling it, allows you to work through it and then it not be something that you're carrying long term.
Yeah, okay.
And I think for sadness specifically, it can have a bad rap. It can be like, oh, I can't, especially with Christians, like, is something wrong that I'm sad? It's like, no, this is a normal emotion. It's okay to be sad. There's something maybe that's gone on in life that your body and your mind is saying, I need to stop and like recognize and feel. And part of sadness also can be a grieving process you might be in. So sadness actually is normal. And I'd say for most people, it's something that you should feel now and then.
That makes a lot of sense to me because, like I said, I would rather just keep moving forward. And sadness, it's not like a fun emotion.
No,
it's not like joy. It's kind of like, well, I don't feel good right now.
Right.
And so it's like, I don't want to deal with that. Yeah. But I think you're right because I feel that coming out in different ways in my life when I'm going, what is this? Or, why am I now kind of spinning out over here? Probably in part because I didn't take the time to stop and deal with it.
That's right. Yeah. And sadness is also, it's on a pendulum with joy. So like, I think if you're able to process sadness, and slow down enough to feel it and realize this is a normal emotion, then you also are actually allowing yourself to experience more joy on the other side of it.
Okay.
Yeah, so that joy and sadness are kind of like connected. And if you can go there and really lean into your sadness, understand it, then I think most people have the ability to then lean into joy and experience more joy.
Wow. So you got sadness, which is an emotion, and then you have depression, which I don't know if that's an emotion. It can be a disorder or I don't know.
Condition.
Condition. What's the relationship there? Do you, as a counselor, like if I showed up in your office and I'm, hey, I'm feeling depressed. What kind of conversations would we have and what kind of relationship is there then with sadness?
The easiest way to know am I sad or depressed is can I identify why? Can I identify what has caused it? And people that are sad usually say, this thing happened in my life and I know that this is why I'm sad. Someone that's depressed would say, I don't know why I'm acting this way. I don't know why I can't get out of bed in the morning. I don't know why I'm isolating myself. And maybe they have some guesses, but they might not know. And so there are times if sadness isn't identified, worked through, expressed, and that emotion isn't paid attention to, it can turn into depression.
I see. Yeah.
And so I'd say for a lot of people, sadness is a season, is a period of time that they go through it and they identify it. And then depression can be more long-term and can be something that they really can't work through unless they have counseling or a supportive group of friends that are walking with them through it.
Wow, okay, that's really helpful. So sadness often is tied to a season, a moment, a thing.
Yeah.
And depression is kind of like, I'm not sure. Exactly. I just know I don't feel good.
That's right. Yeah, they usually talk about things that are not the emotion, but more of the behavior. Like, I don't know why I'm acting this way. This is how I used to act. I'm acting this way now. Like, what's going on? I don't know exactly what's going on with me, but I want to get back to health.
That's good. So I know that you're a Christian, you're a Jesus follower. And so I know that your faith impacts how you personally deal with emotions and navigate emotions, and also kind of in your practice. So could you say a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, with sadness specifically, when I think about faith, I think, man, Jesus experienced sadness.
Oh, yeah.
Like, being fully human, fully divine, he felt the range of emotions. And I think as Jesus followers, we can follow that. We can follow Jesus, that we're like, man, he understands what it's like to feel, and he understands where I'm at emotionally. He can meet me there. And so when I think about the gospel, I think about this cycle of birth, life, death, and resurrection. And that can happen with emotions too. So the gospel can kind of inform how we process emotions. There could be a birth of an emotion and a lifespan and like a death and then a resurrection, right? And those are, and a lot of times, we've talked about this in therapy, like you can't just turn one of the emotional spigots off without turning them all off. And so you look at like the Psalms, and all the spigots are turned on.
That's the
right?
Truth.
And so I think it helps us as believers to know that this is normal. That the psalmist David was like, in the same psalm would say, like, God, I trust you, and God, I'm really scared. And this is really hard, and I don't know where you are. And just going through those, even in the same few sentences, the range of emotions.
Totally.
So I think for a lot of people, identifying emotions means normalizing it and saying, this is okay. I can feel these different things, and I'm not like messed up or broken.
So, okay, going back to the Psalms, like something I relate to there is just, I grew up in the church, and so I was around the Bible all the time, but more recently really diving into the Psalms and really letting it sink in and just realizing like David and some of the others, like that's a lot of emotion. I mean, they were really feeling, sometimes I would even call it like explosive emotion, you know? Totally. And it's like, that's in the Bible.
All over.
And it's like a model for us. And, I just think that's a lot different than sort of the West Michigan Dutch reserved type of thing that I grew up with, So it's helpful.
I think if we look at our own lives and say, those biblical heroes all over the Bible, like they also, most of them had like these ebbs and flows to their journey. And so, they were like us in a lot of ways.
And hey, this has been great.
Aaron, thanks.
And I got to tell you, I really appreciate you, of course, just in my life and the role you've had. And also, dude, you're impacting a lot of people with your ministry and with your counseling. And so thanks for everything that you're doing. Hey, as we wrap up, you might have heard something in our conversation today that just interested you, maybe something you want to explore further, or actually, maybe you're somebody that's dealing with sadness or possibly even depression. And if that's you, I would just encourage you to reach out. adabible.info is a great place to get connected with our church, and there's a tab under there that's called Contact Us. You can email us, and we would love to connect with you, walk with you through whatever you're experiencing. And we have a lot of great resources we can connect you with, like Christian counselors who can help us walk through and process some of these more difficult emotions. And so we'd love to hear from you. And again, thanks for being with us, and thanks for watching. We'll see you.